Well, good afternoon. I don't know if my mic's on correctly. I hope it is. Yeah, there we go. It's a great privilege for me to be back here at a place that had a big impact on my life. I got to be honest, I was surprised when I got the invitation. You heard in my introduction, I'm nobody from nowhere, man. I don't have anything to change anybody's life. And when Donnie told me the theme, I was even more surprised. All semester, Revelation 12:11, they've conquered him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. And I was surprised because just cards on the table. All I know how to be is pretty transparent anymore. I'm not smart enough to fake stuff. Other people are, and I sometimes wish I was. But the reality is I'm not much of a conqueror. I'm not much of an overcomer. When I look back at my life and different things that I've walked through, things that life throws at you sometimes, I'm more of a stumbler. I am a bobbing in the water and trying to keep from sinking, or if that's a word. But everybody's got a short list in their life of people that if they ask you to do something, you're going to try your best to do it. And Big Don's on that list for me, so he asked me. So here we go. He asked me to come share a little bit of my testimony. When I was where you guys are, and I promise you're going to blink your eyes, and you're going to be that old bald guy that's back on campus, because I was, and I thought, man, look at those old losers that used to go here, and they need to get on with their life. And now I are one. So just wait. But when I was you guys' age, man, I had life figured out. I knew exactly what I was going to do. I was going to be in the ministry. I was not going to pastor because I don't like people. I love people, but I don't like people. That's just how it is. I had it all mapped out, man. Don't ever tell God what you're not going to do. He finds that very amusing, as you will indeed be doing that thing. I married the prettiest gal that ever went here. Others may think that they did, or you may think that you're going to, and you're wrong. I started pastoring, became a dad, and life started happening. My wife started dealing with chronic illnesses, nothing that's, life-threatening or whatever, but just debilitating. As a husband, you're helpless. You can't do anything. You can't help. There's no way you can fix it. You learn that ministry is not what you thought it was. Sheep stink. Sheep bite sometimes. It's not what you thought it was going to be. I found out one of my kids was abused at school by another student. You got to walk through that with them, man. What do? You don't know. You do the best you can. The church you pastor, ask for your resignation. And it's not because of a moral failure. It's just church stuff. It happens to a lot of guys. It happens to most of them, unfortunately. Now your identity's gone. And over half of your life, you've been in the ministry, but now you're not. You've always been the provider. You've been the protector. Now you're neither of those things. Now, God, in a tough spot in our lives, He was good. He provided work for me. I went to work in construction, working in construction is a lot like being in church. It's just that in construction, nobody hides that they cuss and drink and smoke. When I resigned, I'm never going to be invited back now. That'll be all right. When I resigned the church, I figured, well, I'll just go right back into ministry pretty soon. I mean, I'll do this construction gig for a little while. I'll build some apartments. That's all I'd ever done, man. I had my degree from here. I was a third of the way towards my master's degree, which, I know that doesn't sound like much, but when you're not on the high end of the intelligence scale, that's a big deal for me. And I figured, man, that's what I'll do. But, the weeks stretched into months, and the months stretched into years. And there were long days on the job site. Nothing in my life. I celebrated my 40th birthday. Again, when I'm your guys' age, I knew what I was going to be doing when I was 40, and it wasn't raking up dirt on a job site. But that's where we were, and it was good, a good group of guys, whatever that I worked with. But when you're on the job site, you're up on whatever floor you're working on, and you just kind of start calculating. Am I high up enough to where if I fell, my family could get the benefits? Could they cash the life insurance out? Am I high enough up so that it would look like it was an accident if something were to happen? Because you know you're worth more dead than alive. And you can't help but think that would be the best thing for your family. You think about how they deserve better. They deserve a better father, a better husband, somebody that wouldn't put them through the things that our family was walking through. Things start to get dark. The light in your life almost goes out. Find out another one of your kids suffered abuse for years at the hand of another kid. And then you start thinking about suicide a lot. You're not even pretending like it's something else. That's just what you think about. There's a lot of ways to die on a construction site. I mean, it's dangerous, especially when nobody there's ever heard of OSHA. And you can get creative. You think about it a lot. Wouldn't be hard to make it look like an accident. You think about driving home. Am I going fast enough to where if I center this tree, how many times do I need to jerk the wheel back and forth to make it look like I lost control and then hit that tree? And then the voices in your head start. My oldest daughter, when I told her I was coming to speak, she goes, "Dad, you should start with, this is how I started hearing voices." I said, "I don't think I'm going to open with that one, baby. I'm going to build up to that." And it's all day long, but especially when you're by yourself. You're no good. They deserve better. What are you doing? What are you doing? And then your child who was abused years ago comes in one night, says, "I can't be by myself. I'm going to hurt myself." You find out that they've attempted suicide a couple of times. They've been self-harming. They've been cutting. They go to a mental health facility for a little while. And the provider, the protector, the one that's supposed to be holding it all together, just broke. I mean, how do you bear that weight? Because I couldn't, and I didn't. I was at the end of me, and I began to reach out. And my wife, who had been trying to hold everything together and was kind of the rock of our family through everything, I finally listened to her. And God had brought us to a new church at that time, and that's where I'm currently serving as pastor. So, spoiler alert, I did not, in fact, kill myself. That's awful. Listen, in my family, dark humor is how we cope. So it gets very unpleasant for people that come over. But that's what we listen. You handle your trauma your ways, and we'll handle it ours. Okay. But I started seeing a therapist, and I got some antidepressants, and I know there's a stigma about that in the church, mental health, and stigma is a Latin word that means stupid, because like if you have a headache and you're like, "I'm going to go take an ibuprofen," nobody says, "Gosh, don't you have enough faith?" Well, yeah, I got faith, but my head hurts too. So when my emotions are going crazy and all I'm thinking about is eating a gun, yeah, I'm going to take a pill. And I'm going to pray to Jesus, and I'm going to ask Him to help that pill to work. And people may have issue with that and may think, "Oh, you shouldn't." That's fine. You can think that, and you can be wrong. Now, I don't mind you disagreeing with me if you don't mind being wrong. That's just the way it is. If you fall and break your leg, you're not going to lay a Bible on the bone that's sticking out of your leg. You're going to go to the hospital. And when something in your brain breaks, you're going to go talk to somebody and figure out how to get that fixed. And that's finally where I got. I couldn't do it. I knew I couldn't do it. And so I asked the Lord for grace to get me through all of that. And one of the hardest lessons that I've learned and that I'm still learning is that God always supplies grace, but it's not always the grace that we want. It's always the grace that we need, but it's not always the grace that we want. Paul Tripp said, "God's grace is not always pleasant. Often comes in the form of something we never would have chosen to go through if we were controlling the joystick." And to be honest, I don't like that. But this is how it is. When I create my own universe, then there will be other rules that govern it. But this one's God's, and I'm living in it. And that's how things work sometimes. So the question, I suppose, is what does all this have to do with overcoming? Well, I told you at the beginning, I'm not much of an overcomer. I wish I had a cool story. I wish I could be like, and then it was like an end game, and the portal started opening, and heaven walked in, and all of my problems were over, and no more issues. But that's just not the way life works, man. And if you think it is, it's not. It's just not going to happen that way. What happened is that over the last several years, God has been teaching me what Revelation 12:11 really means. To say that we overcome, they overcame by the blood of the Lamb, the word of their testimony, that doesn't mean that we sit around a campfire and we tell sweet stories and we don't have any more problems. I wish that's what it meant, but that's not what it meant. It means that we cling to Jesus. It means that no matter what happens in life, we're going to hold on to Christ because Christ is all we got. It's realizing that all the time that we were desperately holding on to Jesus and trying to keep our head above the water, that He was just as fiercely holding on to us. And He was keeping our head above the water. That He was there with us, more committed to us than we were ever committed to Him. It means learning that Christianity is an upside-down faith. You want to follow Jesus? Get ready for the rules to be completely different. Up is down in the kingdom. Down is up. I mean, the end of Revelation 12:11 says they overcame Him because they loved not their own lives even unto death. What does that mean? It means that they died. Now, how can you say they were conquerors if they got killed? Because up is down. Jesus has the final word, and their death was not the final word. If you want an easy life, don't follow Jesus. Go do something else. Go be a Buddhist. Go be whatever. Because Jesus is not going to make it easy for you. He said, if you want to follow me, deny yourself, take up your cross every day and follow me. Die to your own desires, your dreams, your hopes, everything that you want for yourself, lay it down on the altar. Sacrifice it to me every day. If you don't want to do that, you can't follow Christ. That's New Testament Christianity. Die to myself every day to be a living sacrifice. Rick Warren said the problem with the living sacrifice is it wants to crawl off the altar. And that's what we do, man. We say, Jesus, here I am. Take my life, and also don't want you to get this part. If you follow Jesus, He's going to ruin your life. The life that you think you have planned out. Here's what I mean by that. I tell people a lot of times that young couples, Kelly and I get to counsel with and talk with, and look, just understand before you have kids will ruin your life. The life that you had, and they all look at me the way that you guys are looking at me, but here's the thing. The life that I knew before my children, that life's over. Like, that guy doesn't work here anymore. He's gone. When we were in college and first got married, man, Friday evening, here's how we made plans. Hey, you want to go camping this weekend? Yeah, let's do that. 2 hours later, we're at the campsite. Now, once a year, me and some guys that some of them went to school here, some of them didn't, we try to get together once a year. I haven't been in 6 years because life happens. It's the same weekend every year. Kids will ruin your life, but here's the thing. The life that you used to have is gone. It's not here anymore, but you get a new life. It's a different kind of life. And the reality is, you wouldn't go back to the old life if you could, because that life of being a dad, man, I embrace dad life. Man, you give me the New Balance, you give me the cargo shorts, and you can judge me all you want, because that's who I am now. I'm dad, and I will forever be that. The only thing that's going to be better is when I get the grandpa t-shirt. And I'll wear it, man, and I don't care what you think. You can judge me and laugh, and that'll be fine, because I'll be judging you too. I will be laughing at you, an old man, because that's what old people do. We judge you youngsters, right? Following Jesus, He's going to ruin your life. The life that you knew and thought you had before Christ, it's over. If any man's in Christ, he's the new creation. Old's passed away, the new has come. I've been crucified with Christ. It's no longer I who live. Christ lives within me. The life that I now live, I live by faith in the Son of God. All right, we were buried with Christ into baptism. Who gets buried? Dead people. He ruins your life. Old life is over. But then we're raised to walk in newness life. You get a new life. The new life is better. It just is. We follow Jesus because we think He's better. If you don't think Jesus is better, if you don't think Christianity is better, like, why are you doing that? Why would you give your life to something that you think, it's one of many? No, I mean, Christ, I didn't marry my wife because I thought, she's a woman. She's one of many. No, I married her because I thought she was the best. And when I made those vows and I said, forsaking all others, I didn't think I was giving anything up. Because I'm getting something better. How many billion people in the world, and I got the best one. And so it doesn't matter what it seems like somebody, I'm not missing out because I get something better. You're not missing out when you follow Christ because you get something better. You get Jesus. And we believe Christ is better and Christ sustains you. In the life that you live, you get tastes, glimpses of the goodness that is to come, because all of the goodness that's promised us in Christ, we don't get it till we get there in fullness. We get little pieces and we get little tastes and little flavors now. And those little tastes, those glimpses, it's what reminds us that God is not abandoning us in the hard times. God's not leaving us to ourselves, man. Jesus is willing to get dirty. He gets down in the mud with you and He walks through that stuff with you. And He lets you cry to Him. He lets you holler at Him. And He lets you lose your cool. And He's not mad about it because He knows your frame. He remembers that you're dust because He made us. And He knows we live in a broken world. And He knows we're surrounded by broken people. And in a broken world full of broken people, there's a lot of sharp edges. We're going to get cut. We're going to bleed. And He knows it. And He's going to walk through all that with us, and He's going to heal us. Psalm 62, 5 through 7. God alone, O my soul, for God alone wait in silence. My hope's from Him. He's my rock and salvation. He's my fortress. I'll not be shaken. On God rests my salvation and my glory. My mighty rock, my refuge is God. What God has been teaching me and continues to teach me. He's not asking me to deal with this stuff by myself. He doesn't say, look, you're in a hard time, and you'll figure it out. Best of luck. See you in glory. It's not the way that it works. He walks through those times with us. We just keep trusting. When things are easy, we trust. When things are hard, we trust. When things are soul-crushing and we don't know if it's worth it, man, the only option we got is to trust. You say, I don't know if I want to keep following Jesus. Listen, you can turn and not follow Jesus, but you think that means you're not going to have hard times? Listen, life's going to kick you in the teeth whether you follow Jesus or not. But when you follow Jesus, you got somebody you can go to and cry out to, and be encouraged by, and receive grace from. That's the difference. Revelation 12:11 says they overcame the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. Listen, my testimony is the blood. That's all I got. I don't have anything fancy to grand story of it. Listen, this is how I dealt with all of my stuff, and boy, just be like me. And no. Number one, don't be like me. Be like Jesus. Number two, I don't have it figured out, man. I mean, I wish I did. I wish I could say, this is the magic formula, man. Take these 3 steps and all your problems are over and you'll never doubt again. I don't know. I don't have a grand story about how I figured everything out, but I got a good story about Jesus. And I have to keep telling myself that story because sometimes I forget it. Sometimes I get mad and I pastor, a college pastor there in Arkadelphia. And I'm so grateful for that. It's a great church, man. It's a part-time bivocational gig. My full-time job is construction materials testing, which is a fancy way to say I test asphalt. Testing asphalt is every bit as glamorous as you might think it is. It's a job, and God provided, and we pay the bills, and glory to God for it. But again, when I was sitting here, I didn't think, man, when I'm 45, you know what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to be walking on a mat of 350-degree asphalt and figuring out if the compaction is correct. You know, what's the wet density of this? You know, no, I don't even know what that means, and I do it for a living, right? It's not what I plan to do, but by God's grace, it's what I do, and it provides, and it takes care of me. Listen, I've faced some of the worst fears that I ever had. Some of the things that I never thought I would be able to face, I've faced them. I'm still here. And it's not because of me. I mean, most days I'm still limping. That's why old people walk so slow. We've been through it, man. Just give us a break and be patient. You're going to hurt too. All right? It's not so we've been through the stuff. But Jesus has been through it with us. And He's walked alongside with us in that. Jesus is strong when I'm not. And Jesus is enough. Now, I don't know what you may be going through, and I wouldn't presume to know how you're feeling. It ain't I don't have a clue. Man, everybody's got their stuff. A room this size, I guarantee you, if you were to everybody throw their problems up in the air, you'd be snatching to get your own. Because everybody in here has got stuff they're messing with, man. And we don't know about it and stuff that we're dealing with. And I can't tell you, some solve-all solution, but I can tell you that on my worst day, Jesus was there. I can tell you on my best days, Jesus is there. I can tell you that Christianity is a present tense faith. It's not just about what Jesus has done, though we thank Him for that. And it's not just about what He's going to do, though we anticipate that. It's about what He's doing right now. In this moment. He's not going to waste what you're going through. I don't know why He lets us walk through the stuff that He does. I don't have that answer. Anybody tells you they do, they're lying. Nobody knows. We can't figure out the mind. Why does God do that? I don't know. I can think of people a lot worse than me that should have went through that stuff. Right? We always judge other people and give me the grace, Lord. I don't know why we deal with the stuff. I see friends, I see family members going through stuff. And I think, God, there's some messed up people in the world. Give them cancer. Man, there's a good guy. Why is he dealing with that? I don't know. But I know He's not going to leave us alone in that. He's invested too much in you. Christ laid down His life to guarantee your salvation. He's not going to walk away from you. I don't know what you're walking through. I don't know what you're facing. But I know Christ is going to walk it with you. He'll walk through you. Or He'll walk through it with you. You just got to lean on Him. Whatever happens in your life, remember, always go back to the cross. Always go back to the cross. And whatever you think about what you're facing and whatever you're thinking about, what does God think about me and how does God feel? Look at the cross. That's the answer. That's how He feels. Thank you, guys.